Hey, good evening. It's Friday, June 23rd, and welcome back to Everyday Talk 24/7. Yesterday was one of those days when, Lord willing, I wasn't able to do the video, but back on track today. That's why I say I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing, because sometimes it doesn't work out, but I try to keep at it every day. So far, we have over 1,600 videos available on Everyday Talk 24/7, so feel free to check some of those out. Some of you are, and it really encourages me to see you checking out some of the past videos. We've been talking about the Bible this week, and tonight I want to talk about three things that the Bible is not. Three things that the Bible is not. I'm just been thinking a lot lately how easily the Bible's misrepresented about something that God did not intend for it to be. And so here are three items to think about. Three things the Bible is not. The first, the Bible is not a rule book. It's not about do's and don'ts. Yes, there are commands in there. Yes, obedience is important. But my relationship with God doesn't hang on my obedience. It hangs on the obedience of Christ that He gives to me. God looks at me, He sees the righteousness of Christ because He paid the penalty for my sin. That means that the Bible is not a rule book. That goes back here trying to rearrange the furniture. Hang in there, girl. The Bible is not a rule book. Jesus makes that abundantly clear when He quotes Isaiah in Mark. This is what He says in Mark chapter 7 when He's talking about the hypocrites, about the Pharisees. He calls them hypocrites. He said, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites, talking about the religious leaders of the day. As it is written, these people come honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. In other words, their worship is futile, because their teachings are merely human rules. There's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, a lot of hoops you've got to jump through to please a leader or to please God. That's not the Bible's message. Don't go there. Rules are set in place because they need to protect us, right? Well, these human rules don't protect us at all. I don't care how elaborate they sound. In Colossians chapter 2, verse 23, we read this: such regulations, that is, human rules, indeed have an appearance of wisdom, with their self-imposed worship, their false humility, and their harsh treatment of the body. Isn't that what you feel like when you're in a controlled environment, when somebody's telling you, you've got to do this to honor God, you've got to please Him this way, you've got to do the other thing. It weighs you down. But more significantly, parents, this is huge for you. These rules, they lack any value in restraining sensual indulgence. They actually bring about the thing that they're supposed to prevent. If the Bible is coming across as primarily a set of rules and do's and don'ts, or you've got to do this to gain acceptance, that's not biblical teaching. The Bible is not a rule book, number one. Number two, the Bible is not meant to be interpreted by one primary person. The Bible is not meant to be interpreted by one primary person. If you have one person that's your go-to person to understand the Bible, that's not healthy. I don't want you to look at me or anybody else and think I'm the one that has the answers. I don't. And you know what? Neither does anybody else. Paul addresses this in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, where he says this: for whenever someone says, I belong to Paul, and another, I belong to Apollos, apparently Apollos was the better speaker, but Paul's saying, you're acting just like mere humans when you talk that way. What is Apollos? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? They are servants through whom you believed and each has the role that God has given. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. It's not about the individual. So then neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God gives the growth. One of my goals here on the channel, Everyday Talk 24/7, is to point to the scriptures, not my interpretation of it. You need other sources. We all need that. And when one person is the driving person in your life in terms of referencing the Bible, I don't care if it's a preacher, I don't care if it's a TV personality, I don't care if it's somebody who wrote a book. We've got to have multiple people. I've been influenced by multiple people. If one person is the one driving it and your main go-to, that's not healthy. The Bible's not designed to be that way. And then the third thing, the Bible is not about control and fear. The Bible is not about control and fear. So many times people are doing something because they're afraid if they don't, they're going to get in trouble. Then we take obvious examples like robbing a bank is not a good thing. Shooting a person is not a good thing in terms of just to settle disputes. But that doesn't mean that there's a license for somebody to use things to control you. God is not about that. He's not about fear. He's not about control. Listen to Psalm 103. The Lord is compassionate. I talked about this in What is the Father last Saturday, but I'm going to read it again. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. He will not always accuse. He will not harbor his anger forever. He does not treat us as our sins deserve. See, we're not supposed to live under this cloud. If I mess up, God's going to get me. That's not the Bible's message. He does not treat us as our sins deserve, or repay us according to our iniquities. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far as he removed our transgressions from us. That's Psalm 103, verses 8 through 12. The Bible is about bringing hope, confidence, and peace. If you're studying the scriptures, themes of hope, confidence, and peace should be your takeaways. If it's about fear, if it's about wondering, messing up, or I have to measure up to some standard, that's not a biblical thought. I could say more about this than I am, but tonight, it's these three things. Three things that the Bible is not. There are other things, but these three things. The Bible is not a rule book. The Bible is not meant to be interpreted by one primary person. And the Bible is not about control and fear. It's about bringing you peace and hope and love of God to transform our lives. And that's the thought for this night. And look forward to talking to you tomorrow, Lord willing. You have a great night. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. May God richly bless you as you seek to live for His glory.